Yo, yo, yo. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Brown and Orange Weekly, a Victory Monday edition of Brown and Orange Weekly. Um, I am your co host, Clarence Wilson. With me is my man, James Elfritz. And hopefully, joining us soon
Yeah.
will be Mr. Dean Samples. His internet trials and tribulations have been much discussed, so he'll be jumping on with us shortly. But James, how you feeling, man?
For Victory Monday, pretty good because, we got to watch the Browns and Cards play Sunday, 27-0 final, playing a 1-7 football team. And we played the game exactly, I think, how we needed to. Solid defensive effort, outstanding defensive effort, historic defensive effort.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the offense took care of business. I think they played it smart, run heavy. Sean got a little bit of a rhythm going. So lots of good things to talk about tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so yeah, the Browns shut out the Cardinals, 27-0. First Browns shutout since was it '07?
Yeah, it was
The 8-0
December.
game.
First shutout since December 16th of 2007 against the Buffalo Bills.
That's right. Oh, these Browns games with, and I believe that's two touchdowns and a safety in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
I think two field
Sorry,
goals.
two,
Was it
two,
eight?
two field
I
goals.
think
Yeah,
it was
sorry,
eight.
two field goals. uh, Anytime I see a two field goal game, I don't know. I've been to three Browns games where neither team scored a touchdown, including one against Peyton Manning. I don't know how the hell that happened, but I digress. That, that, as you kind of said in the intro, man, that defense was just, we were all over the place. We made a rookie quarterback look like he should. Uh, yeah, I think everybody had probably a little apprehension because we know that in Browns history, or sorry, I should say since '99, when a rookie quarterback gets on the field, it seems like that guy normally comes in and does something against the Browns. But neither the offense neither the quarterback or the running game could do anything as they totaled 58 yards of offense, which is just absurd. That's all I can say.
Well, and it's exactly what we wanted to do. It's what we talked about last week as far as a get right game. Go out there, make a statement against Clayton Tune, rookie quarterback, but also we spoiled the homecoming for rookie head coach Jonathan Gannon, who was a St. Ignatius grad, and he had a rough one too. So um, I really think, based on what we watched, it's a win. It's the way we won the game is exactly how you would expect a very good team, which is our Cleveland Browns, to go up against that team that didn't have much talent. There wasn't much to watch, was there?
No. Just looking at just their skill position players, I'm like, I know Rondale Moore. Outside of that, they had a bunch of guys I'd really never heard of, and it showed. Like not necessarily that we have to know these players' names, but when it kind of seems they were already in a tanking mode as much as you can in the NFL with the way that they kind of dealt away some of their players here over the last couple seasons. So, um, yeah, they really didn't have anything. They needed the greatest quarterbacks coach and running back coach in the history of the franchise, but I'll get into that later on. Um, he might have been able to help them, but
I don't
um,
know. I mean, our defense only gave up 17 passing yards,
it's
58
ridiculous.
total yards. The Cardinals were 1 of 12 on third down. Our defense stepped up with 7 sacks, 3 turnovers, 2 picks, and a fumble recovery. You can't ask anything more from what the guys did. So they came
No,
out, did their job, and got off the field.
Yeah, as you said, they just did exactly what we expected them to do versus this team. Defense absolutely dominant. Um, Offensively, you mentioned kind of in the intro, run heavy, and it wasn't that the runs were necessarily great. I believe outside of Deshaun Watson, the Browns' three-headed monster, rushing attack of Ford, Hunt, and Strong, I think combined they only averaged about 2.4 yards or something like that. So it wasn't that it was a they were gashing them, but I feel like they had timely runs more than anything. Like when they needed a good run, they got it. But yeah, no, I mean, 20 carries for Ford for 44 yards, 2.2 average, 14 for Kareem for 38, that's a 2.7 average, and then my man Pierre Strong, who I just want to see more of that dude. I just feel like he has another gear that the other guys don't possess. That's just kind of what I see. But he had three for 9 yards. So between them three, I think 91 yards total. But again, and that's over 37 rushes. So again, not crazy average, but I felt like they got the timely runs and they kind of set a tone right there.
Yeah, and we'll find out whether or not that kind of effort is going to be good enough this coming week with Baltimore. So, it was definitely enough to take care of business against the Cardinals. But as we recap here on this game, we'll start later on this conversation looking ahead to the next couple weeks with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, where the division's going to be decided, I believe.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I was in a conversation text with a couple of my buddies, and um, he we were talking about how tough the division is, and more or less, I was like, he mentioned everybody in there, and I said something about Cincinnati. He's like, they're playing well. I'm like, you know what? I'm not really worried about Cincinnati because if we don't take care of business against Baltimore and Pittsburgh these next couple of weeks, and if we also have Jacksonville on the schedule as well. If we don't take care of them, that game against Cincinnati is not going to mean anything. Um, but we are playing in the toughest division in the NFL. Everybody's at least two games over 500, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, to look at the standings right now in the AFC, to see the Chiefs 1, Ravens 2, both 7-2. Looking at the Jags, leading the AFC South at 6-2, Dolphins 6-3 in the AFC East lead, and then you go right down into the wild card spots, and you see Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Cincinnati in
Hmm.
those final three spots. With just outside of it, the Jets looking at 4-3, the Buffalo Bills at 5-4, and the Texans, who CJ Stroud, man, he came to play yesterday, and what a great performance by that Buckeye quarterback for
Yeah,
the Houston Texans.
they put on that was the bonus coverage yesterday, post Browns game. So everybody got a little taste of Baker doing what he couldn't do here in Cleveland, leading his team down the field for a score to with 40 some seconds left, and CJ said, "Nah, I'm going to take that one right back."
Yeah, and Baker threw a nice ball, nice and high, over the defender to the tight end to the go-ahead
Hmm.
score, and they left a little bit too much on the clock, which, under a minute? I
Yeah,
mean,
I feel like it was 39 or 41 seconds, maybe 30, 48 seconds. Yeah, but it was definitely under a minute.
yeah. So, we have Houston on our schedule. We have the Jets yet on our schedule. So, and those teams are going to be lurking. So we're going to have a nice, strong, tough test to finish out the rest of the season. There really isn't
Definitely.
any layups on our schedule. Maybe the Bears.
Maybe, maybe we'll see. Um, what were your thoughts on Watson's performance yesterday? First game kind of back um, after the shoulder injury. Uh, it was kind of nice to see him out there. What were kind of your thoughts on his performance?
First quarter, we didn't look so good. I know there was at the 3:47 mark. We were at the Cards 37, 4th and 3. Stefanski's got to go for it. And I think we know why, because of the defense that we have. He pretty much felt comfortable to go for it anywhere. But, he threw, Deshaun threw a pass too low on the right-hand side to Jordan Akins, and it was incomplete. So we turned it over on downs. But, Clarence, what do you think? I mean, Hopkins, it would have been a 54-yard field goal if we would have tried it. Why not try that versus giving the ball up the other way for the first down? Turnover on downs, because Hopkins' long's 58, and that may have been indoors. Was that, I think, might have been in Indianapolis?
Yeah, that was in Indianapolis. I think he hit, 2 or 3 from 50 that game?
Yeah, so, Hopkins, he's made it from that distance, but, of course, you and I didn't, see what the wind was or anything like that. They
Sure.
already made that call pregame, knowing what he was going to be good from. So,
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with you. Just the fact that Stefanski knew that Arizona wasn't doing anything yesterday, excuse me. Like, he knew it was not going to be their day. So in that case, I'm okay with him going for it. I've been heavily critical of Stefanski and his fourth down decisions. But I'm not. I don't really like the analytics judging when you go for fourth down. I feel like it's kind of like we talked about last week. Like it's completely situational. It's your gut. In that situation, again, they weren't doing anything. So I'm okay with him going for it. He called a hell of a game yesterday as well. He's done really, really well these last few weeks. I have nothing bad to say about that guy.
The only thing I have to say about that is that I hope that he doesn't think that that's a green light to be doing that against Baltimore. With Baltimore, we're going to have to play a little bit of field position. Is my bet. You don't just go for it all the time. I do not want to pull what's left of my hair out on that.
No.
But no, Deshaun, as far as the game continued to go on, end of the first quarter stats, he did have 92 passing yards, so that's pretty decent. Hopkins had a 30-yard field goal in the second quarter. Denzel Ward had a nice interception in the second quarter. So let's see. Oh yeah, we had the another pass off the helmet in the second quarter. 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
Where our quarterbacks passed it off the helmet, except this week, the football gods were on our side.
Mm-hmm.
And the ball ricocheted into the end zone for an Amari Cooper touchdown.
So take that play, because we saw how that normally ends for the Browns, not just last week, but pretty much in the last 20 years. That play normally ends up incomplete, or I would say more often than not, an interception for the other squad.
Yeah.
So take that play, and then take into the what would have been Arizona's longest play of the game. It was like a 26-yard pass or 30, something like that. That was called back due to offensive pass interference, where Rondale Moore did not touch a soul. He didn't touch anybody. And somehow they called that against Arizona. So between those two plays, and especially when I saw that play, are the tables turning? Like I feel like in this past, I'd say just this year alone, I feel like the Browns have gotten more calls in this year than they have in the previous 20 years combined. Almost, it almost seems like
it sure feels that way. I guess when you're winning, it's sometimes better to be lucky than good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that official definitely missed that call. There was no contact whatsoever. It was not a pick. Now, the one thing I did think about is where the position of that official was versus what he was able to see. He was, to me, he would have been out of position. You would add to. That's probably why the other guys, the sideline judge, didn't throw the flag. But that guy thought he saw what he saw. But man, it wasn't even close. But yeah, that's definitely a freebie for us.
Yeah, that blew my mind when they said that, and they showed the replay, and again, just didn't touch anybody. And again, that's when I kind of thought, all right, you know what? Yeah, that maybe things are kind of maybe things are changing for us. Um, what did you think about our defensive line yesterday? Whew.
It's same thing I think pretty much every week. I think the Baltimore game is the one game that really stands out to me where it felt like we really struggled against the run, and we know how it is when we play a division game against the Ravens. It's about physicality and imposing your will at the line of scrimmage, and but that definitely was not a problem for our guys yesterday. Not one
Mm-mm.
bit. We had different guys stepping up. Shelby Harris getting in there in the third quarter, knocking the ball loose for Miles Garrett to recover it at the 11-yard line. And then Njoku was hit with a 5-yard touchdown pass from Deshaun to go up 20-0. He was wide open. So there's definitely some kind of blown coverage there. It felt like the
Mm-mm.
Cardinals, it was almost like watching the Browns 0-16 season where
Exactly.
they could not. You can't catch a break on a bounce pass off the guy's helmet. You can't get a break on a call that wasn't even close. It just Cardinals fans, you better enjoy the Sun season and tune in to Kevin Durant because the Cards ain't going anywhere.
No,
They're about to get Kyler back. I'll give them that. So there'll just be a little bit of excitement there, but there's
what are
not
the
much
chances?
else there.
What are the chances he's even there next year? Because they'll mess around and draft Caleb Williams if they end up with that first pick, which they're headed towards.
Right.
which which would just be wild because they took Rosen and then Cliff Kingsbury came in there, said we're not trading Josh Rosen. Drafted Kyler Murray and traded Josh Rosen. Now maybe Kyler's on his way out, possibly, because I don't think I've seen a worse team play this year uh, than the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, they might want to partner Marvin Harrison Jr. with them.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But I
They
mean,
go away from the quarterback, maybe trade down a spot.
that's a
So
possibility. But Bears end up with 1 and 2. If Bears have their way, if they're anywhere in there, they're going to be in
yeah,
on.
one of those is going to be Marvin. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Injuries yesterday, man. Um, to Jed Will's injury. Um, he went down early, or sorry, well, I remember he committed this penalty. Um, it was the very first penalty on the. It was a quick pass to Elijah Moore. I remember the play very well because Elijah Moore caught it and then just turned and ran out of bounds while the defender was laying on the ground. And I was like, why didn't you just turn and run? Like the defender's just laying there. And he caught it with his back to the ball and just turned and ran out of bounds. I'm like, oh, but it's called back because of Jed. And then a few plays later, a little while later, Jed goes down. He is on IR as we speak for 4 weeks with a I lost it.
Yeah, he's got the MCL sprain.
MCL, yeah.
So, he's expected to be back this season, but, he's definitely going to be out for that 4-week period. Then a lot of people are saying, and I haven't looked at I don't know how they statistically follow it to see how they grade these guys on the offensive line. But, from what I've been hearing is that Wills is playing better. And a lot of times the way the average fan, if I'm just sitting there watching the game, the way Wills is playing better is when you don't hear his name called by the official for any kind of penalties.
True.
So, yeah, it was definitely nice to not lose him for the season. It's unfortunate that Kareem Hunt ran up behind him, and, you're surprised that plays like that don't happen more often, the way these backs run up, right behind their line and sometimes put a hand on their back and kind of guide which way to block and then, cut off that. But, yeah, so hopefully Jed Wills get healthy. It sounds like Hudson had a nice game coming in, filling for him. I know Dwight Jones went
Go
down
on,
for
Johnny.
he went down for a little bit yesterday too.
Mhm.
Came back in, so a little beat up along the offensive line. I know Hunt was a little beat up. Cooper came off, so these guys better be hitting the tub this week
Yeah.
because the next 2 weeks is going to define whether or not we're going to break that 34-year drought of being. Anybody watching on YouTube, man, I'm patting on my pennant. 1989 Central Division champions.
Central Division.
Yes,
That's right.
Central Division champions. Before it was the North, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm waiting to put up another pennant down here in the Cave of Champions. Finally, hopefully, we can get this AFC North championship.
I can dig it. Goodwin is in concussion protocol. I did read that earlier. And I
It
will
looked
say the
like he
scariest. Good.
did. It looked like he got driven. Just kind of the guy got on top of him. His head kind of got
Hmm.
driven into the ground.
Yeah, but yeah, I read today he's in concussion protocol, so we'll
Yeah.
see how that shakes out. Hopefully, he's doing well. Obviously, he had the blood clots to begin the season, so hopefully, his health all around is good. Um, I will say the scariest moment yesterday was Hunt, or sorry, not Hunt, was Coop going down because I last year one of my biggest fears was I was like, if he goes down, like we really didn't have anybody. Now, obviously, DPJ stepped up last year, had a solid season, but outside of Coop this year, we've got some guys, but nobody that's really doesn't seem like anybody has gotten any kind of rapport with any of the quarterbacks who have played this year outside of Coop. And Joku with PJ, and yesterday he caught some balls from Watson, but I think Cooper's our number one guy, as far as catching passes go, and I was really concerned when he went down yesterday, but he did come back in, play well. Um, but it reminded me that we're one play away from Elijah Moore and Marquise Goodwin being our top receivers.
Yeah, and they got Tillman involved on that screen pass, just a
Mhm.
nice, simple completion for him. Just basically, that was getting a rep in a real game to get that reception in, just to kind of give him a taste. Because who knows, he might need to be the guy that steps up in Baltimore because they're going to try to take away the 1 and 2. They're Cooper and Njoku.
Mhm.
So you always talk about championships, and Shaq always talks about the others. And
Yep.
if we're going to win a division championship, the others going to have to step up in some of these big games against Baltimore and against Pittsburgh. And you talking about the Bengals game too? I still think that game's going to mean something. To me, it's either we're going to need it to win the division, and Cincinnati needs it to get into the playoffs. I just still see a lot of meaning behind that last game of the season.
I mean, in a
This
perfect
year.
world, it wouldn't mean a damn thing because we've clinched a division. But I see where you're at. I see where your head is at. Absolutely.
And you think about it, how many times and since '99 have we had worthless games in December and in November? If you want to, you can even touch on that in November. But
Hmm.
this year, they're all going to be important. Look at the schedule. Everybody knows we got at Baltimore, and then we got home against Pittsburgh on the 19th, both 1 o'clock games. And then we got a pair of 4 o'clock games going West Coast while Denver's Mountain Time. 4 o'clock start, then you're at the LA Rams, 4:25. And then we get back home for a Jacksonville 1 o'clock game, December 10th.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a stretch. I feel that, gosh, man, it's like how it is in the NFL. Any given Sunday, and we take a nap on one of those at Denver. Look what Denver did to Kansas
In
City and
Kansas
surprise
City.
them. So
Yep.
you can't. There's no weeks off other than your bye week. You
It's,
got to show up.
it is a literal week to week league. anything can happen on any week, any given Sunday. Yeah, it's cliched, but it's the honest truth. Nobody had us beating. Nobody had us beating the 49ers. Look what happened.
Right.
Nobody had Denver beating KC. Look what happened. Um, the Las Vegas Raiders were a laughingstock last week. This week they came out and put a beat down on the Giants, albeit injured and everything else. So it is a general week 2 week league. Um, Speaking of Baltimore, let's look at them really quickly. Um, Second best defense in yards per game. Um, Lamar has killed us forever, forever and ever and ever. Um, he's passing the ball a little bit more, which is scary because we know he's still got those wheels. And for some reason, Mark Andrews, as soon as he steps out of the hotel, he's wide open. I don't understand, what it is, but those two, whenever they play the Browns, absolutely just destroy us.
And I know the game's not till Sunday against Baltimore, but we should have our secondary down there. At least one of our second, maybe it's Del Pitt, maybe one of our linebackers, but we should be double teaming him all week. Like as soon as he leaves practice to get to his car, we should be out there in the parking lot. I mean, how do we lose him? He scored
Every
2
game.
touchdowns in that first game.
And
We
it's
know that was number one.
Yeah, it's yearly. It is literally it's if Lamar plays and Andrews is on the field, it's almost a guarantee that they're going to link up on some broken, busted ass play, and Lamar going to find him streaking down the middle of the field,
Mm-hmm.
wide the hell open.
So why are we not mirroring that? It feels like we're going that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Where we should be targeting the hell out of Njoku,
Mm-hmm.
the same way they do that with Andrews, and then they just whatever running back they decide to throw back there, they run the damn football. And they played Seattle last week, and they sure handled Seattle much better than we did.
Yeah, they blew the doors off
as a comparison.
Yeah, absolutely, they blew the doors off those boys. It's. I'm a little nervous for this game, but I'm also. To me, this could be a turning point game, James. To me,
it's got to
be. They come out and win this one. We might have something here. This might be turned into a special season.
There is not a more important game in Deshaun Watson's career in a Browns uniform than this one.
Agreed.
This is the one where he's got to show up, and I hate to talk about damn money in his contract or whatever, but this is the one why they paid him what they paid him.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know the guaranteed money, why he got the guaranteed money. How else are you going to get him to come to Cleveland? Remember that?
Yeah.
He was kind of out of it until the front office, changed their tunes. Like, hey, we'll guarantee everything.
Oh yeah, he was not coming here. He was. They said that they were removed, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're back in it because Jimmy said, "I'm gonna cut that check."
Yeah. He knew that's how he was going to get. It's not going to be all the bars down East Fourth. So like, oh yeah, I want to go to Cleveland. It's not first pitch at the Guardians game. It's not getting on the Jumbotron at the Cavs game.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be that guaranteed money. So now he needs to show up. This is the game where we are going to find out if that money was worth it or not. I know we got Pittsburgh the following week. Don't give a damn about that game right now. We got to be focused on this one. If we win this one, then I think that momentum and that confidence can carry us over against Pittsburgh. But we'll talk about them next week. Let's beat Baltimore.
Yeah, that's the key. We've got to knock out Baltimore right now. Like it has got to happen. Again, just because of our history with them, obviously we know about them being the old Browns, but just the fact that they've been beating our ass for a long time. It's time for things to turn around.
And I think the keys to the game are to score first. At some point, you got to get up 2 scores on these guys on the road. To me, this is a big game for JOK as far as shadowing and watching for Lamar. If he breaks that line of scrimmage, to me, that's why we drafted him as a very fast linebacker to be able to contain him. Hopefully, defensive line can keep him kind of centered and not allow him to get outside the pocket. Because we got to learn our lesson from the first game. And I know PJ was starting, or no, DTR was starting, and we got Deshaun now, but we still got to play better.
Oh, agreed. I think kind of piggybacking on your keys to the game, we did get JOK for this, but I think this is also a Jim Schwartz game. How is he going to scheme to, not allow them to go downfield with the pass, but also keep Lamar in the pocket, as you said, because like I said, we've seen it all. We've seen him gash us with the run. We've seen him gash us with the pass. So this is a game where I really want to see him come out and figure out, all right, how can I kind of shut this dude down across the board? Kind of goes along with your key to the game scoring first. We've just got to continually score. Their defense, I believe, as of today, I think they're only giving up 13.8 points per game. We're third with 17.4 points per game. So clearly, this could turn into a low scoring, grinded out, old school style football game. But it's time for us to see what this offense is. We've got 4 games out of the 8 that we've played that we've had our quarterback in line. And out of those games, only 1.5 do we have our running back, our award running back, as I said last week. So this is the game where I'm expecting to see this, this new offense pass heavy, or I don't, honestly, I don't even give a damn how they do it, but I want to see this offense come out, put up points, look good, and I think the rest will take care of itself, quite honestly.
And this could be a big special teams game too. This could be a Dustin Hopkins game versus Justin Tucker. Like you said, low scores, but I forget who was the young guy we got back there on punt returns. He looked pretty shifty back there. I liked him.
It's P.A.
Crocier or whatever. I don't care. Number 11. Yeah.
Crochet. Yeah.
I want to see him break loose. Gerald Ice Cube McNeil style. I want to see him score a touchdown. I want a special teams touchdown. I want a defensive touchdown. I want D Hop hitting his field goals. And we'll win that low scoring game. And the thing that we haven't talked about, not that the Cardinals posed much of a challenge, but no turnovers on offense this past week against the Cards. Yeah, let's keep that way.
Absolutely. So biggest game of the year so far. Who do you like?
Oh, it's definitely Brownies, but I gave you how it's got to happen. It's got to be a total team effort. It's got to be points by the offense, defense, and special teams, I think, to get it done. Making sure we don't turn that football over. I still think keep throwing in the Njoku. Our run average, I know, was a little rough this past week, but you still got to keep trying at Baltimore. But, man, I'm going to say it again, it's about imposing your will at the line of scrimmage. We know we can do it on defense. We got to stop the run because I tell you, they ran the hell out of the ball against the Seahawks. So we've got to stop the run and force Lamar to throw the football to somebody other than Mark Andrews.
This is going to be a hard watch. I'm watching this game alone. I don't want anybody around me. This is I need this win. The Browns need this win.
Yes.
To announce that we are officially here that they are a threat and that they're ready to go. I think that this is honestly, I think this is going to be a Watson game on offense. There, I really think it's about time for him to come out and play. I don't want to see them go away from the run game. Don't get me wrong. Like, give me 37 more carries. I'm fully fine with that. But I think some of the rush that we saw, it seems like pretty much since last year that he's come back, it seems like some of these short passes, these little 5 yard plays, he seems to struggle with. And, meanwhile he's hitting 40-yard bombs downfield to Coop with no problem or with beautiful touch. So I kind of feel like this is the week that it looks much better than it has, especially in the short game. Um, and I feel good. I feel like the Browns are going to walk in and win this game. I'm about as confident as I've been against any game against Baltimore since the return. Probably the best team that we've had play Baltimore since the return. Um, and I'm ready. I feel good about rolling into Baltimore and walking out with a win.
I sure hope you're right. And if this is a Deshaun Watson game, I expect him to at least get one score on the ground and hopefully two through the air.
Well, you saw I right before game time this week, I said Watson was going to go 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Browns are going to win by 2 scores. Dead on, way above that. So um, Sunday I'll put out another feel good, put something in the atmosphere to spread all over Baltimore and bring us home this W.
Yeah, we got to end that 4-game win streak that Baltimore's got right now
I,
and start establishing our own.
I feel like the last time that I didn't check, but I feel like the last time that we beat them was not with Lamar. I feel like that was in Brown Stadium versus Huntley.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think I had a suite. I was in a suite that day. It was very nice. Um,
I never heard anybody say they had a bad time in the suite.
no, nah. Just the private bathrooms alone are worth that. James, anything else you want to tell the people before we jump out of here?
Man, stay positive. I know the work week is just beginning. I know we get Browns fever going. We get hot, get excited. Everybody's positive on Twitter, right? But hey, this is the week. Stay focused. Let's get this victory. Let's get the turnovers. Let's get all three phases producing this coming Sunday to bring that win home, to get that 2-game win streak, and then finally then we can look into the Pittsburgh game. Look to win 3 in a row and head towards that division title that we've seeked for a long time.
Agreed. Y'all know me. All I'm going to tell you is be kind to one another and follow everything that Believeland does. We're killing it on the high school coverage right now.
Yes, they are. Great
Absolutely
job, guys.
destroying it. Yes. Shout out to everybody doing the high school coverage this year. And make sure you follow all things. I was about to say all things Cavalier, but
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought there. All things Cavalier. Make sure you follow those kids doing that. And what's your schedule for the off season? Well, on
We'll be
Guardians
back.
of the CLE.
We'll be back next week doing Guardians of the CLE. We're off this week. I know Mel was going to do an announcement. The Guardians did hire their new manager today, so we'll be able to expand a little bit and get some feedback on how the fans feel about our new manager. So looking forward to having that conversation with Mel coming next week on Guardians of the CLA podcast. Follow us on X at Guardians OTCLE.
That's right. With that being said, y'all know the routine. In the words of a guy that the Arizona Cardinals could have used yesterday, he was their offensive court. He was their quarterbacks coach and running back coach. In 2017, he was the running back coach. In 2013 to 2016, he was a quarterback coach, and that would be the venerable Freddie Kitchens. So, in his words, if you don't wear brown, you don't wear orange, you don't matter. Peace, y'all.